Well, good afternoon and welcome to the 2022 first lunchtime learning. We used to call it lunch and learn, and that was when we were able to provide lunch. And now we're just providing learning. And so we're having our lunchtime learning instead. So really glad that you guys were able to join us for our January session of our lunchtime learning. Today, we're going to be talking about it's a new year, now what? And my name is Darlene, as you can see on the Zoom screen here. I am the program manager with Cancer Support Community, Central Ohio, and I'm a licensed social worker. And I will have been with the agency 2 years tomorrow. My anniversary's coming up. Yay, I'm so excited about that. So can't believe it's been 2 years that I've been here, but it's been a fabulous journey, even in the midst of trying to provide programming in a safe way in this pandemic that we're living in. So let me do a screen share here and we will get started on a presentation. So hopefully you guys are able to see a slide that says it's a new year, now what?
Yes.
Perfect. And so one of the things that I was thinking about, one, I couldn't find any other presenters who wanted to do a January session. So I told Angie, I was like, I'll just step into the fray and do one. But then I got to thinking, what a better way of starting a new year is to look at it in a new light other than using resolutions. And so that's really what the premise is behind my topic today is so many times a resolution is made. And then probably I believe the research I've done is by middle of January, 90% of people have already dropped their resolution. And so you start off the year with this great plan, and then you're not even at the end of the month. And it's like, oh, I failed. And then you have that feelings of guilt or that feeling of all the negative stuff that comes along with it. So we're going to look at, what are resolutions, and that's that firm decision to do something, and it's usually based on a negative premises. It's like, I'm going to lose weight, or I need to exercise more, or I'm going to eat healthier, or all sounds like great resolutions, but it's it's saying that you're flawed, and so you must change in some way. So I challenge people, instead of looking at resolutions, to look at goals. The definition of a goal is that object of a person's ambition. It's an aim or desired result. And if you set SMART goals, the SMART goal actually gives you attainable milestones. So you can just set a goal of, I'm going to walk every day. But if you set a SMART goal, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, you'll get a better result. So instead of me saying, I'm going to walk every day, I'm going to say every morning at 7 a.m., I'm going to walk around the block of my neighborhood, and I'm going to do this for 6 months. And so my goal is very specific. I'm walking every day around the block. It's measurable around the block. It's achievable. I'm not running a marathon. I'm walking a block. And it's relevant because if I want to get to walking more, and it's time bound. I have that set time of 7 a.m. and I'm going to do it, for that time limit. And so when you think about goal setting, really incorporating a SMART goal really helps you with them being able to attain those. So what are some alternatives to setting a resolution that if you've set resolutions and you've made it through the year and you accomplish them, congratulations, my hat's off to you. But so many times people will set a resolution and it doesn't happen. And so an alternative to doing this is to either take a piece of paper or open up your smart device that you have, a phone or a tablet, and create 2 lists. The first list is characteristics. And then the second list is accomplishments. So on that first list of characteristics, this will include some self-reflection, which we're going to talk about a little later, but just think and brainstorm about every positive trait that really defines you today. Just think about those. And, even if it's like, mundane, it's like, I'm on time every day for work, which for me, that's not mundane at all. That's a struggle sometimes with the traffic coming in from across the county. And but just be positive and just think of all of those things that you have going for you: patience and kindness, inquisitiveness, whatever those traits would be. And then on the second list, think about all the accomplishments that happened in 2021. Yes, we're dealing with a pandemic. We're going into another year with an active pandemic, and the numbers are increasing, and they're on the rise, and new variants are being discovered. But there had to have been some accomplishments last year. Think of what those accomplishments are. I read a new book that I've been wanting to read. It could be you tried a new recipe that you've been thinking about doing. It could be that despite the pandemic, you were able to keep your walking plan in place. So whatever those are, big and small accomplishments, list all of those and take some time, because everybody has accomplishments. It could be, I actually purged one of my closets, which for me, that's a big thing. And so list those things out, because of when other people are feeling stressed and worried about fixing themselves, because remember, those resolutions are on the premise that something's wrong and I need to change myself. You're actually starting the year off with a self-reflection that shows your characteristics and your positive traits and everything that you did last year that will carry you through into 2022.
Mhm.
Whoops, I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. Okay, I think I'm back. There's my button to advance the slides are right beside the stop share line button. So I'm going to have to switch cameras. Give me just 1 second. I'm going to have to switch camera sides. And let me go to okay, so hopefully you guys are seeing the next slide that says alternatives to resolutions. Is that what's coming up on the screen?
Yeah, I'm seeing 2 of them.
You're seeing 2 of them. Okay. And we'll just go with the 2 of them because of my arrows are just not, I see, we can see where my arrow is down here. That's where the stop share screen button is on my other screen. So we'll go with the next slide. That works as well. That'll give you a the heads up warning. So as we're looking at alternatives to resolutions, you can think about starting your new year whenever you like. You don't have to start your new year on January 1st. You can pick your birthday. You can pick, the middle of the month. You can pick a specific holiday to say, this is really when I want to start new. And that's perfectly fine. Not everybody celebrates the new year on that January 1st. And if you're doing a new challenge or if you're doing a new goal, it doesn't have to be tied into that January 1st date. And then think about creating a list of things to look forward to in 2022. When we have that list of things to look forward to, that's really a list of hope. Your hope list will contain all of the activities and all of the events that you're really excited for in the next 12 months. And these can be big things or these can be small things that you're looking forward to. I was sharing with Peter before we started the program that my sister has a new grandbaby. And one of the things I'm looking forward to this year is for me to heal up from this cold and for it to be safe to go over and to just give that little guy a hug. So I'm very excited for my sister and really looking forward to getting my hands on that new baby. So that's one of the things on my list to look forward to. Research has shown that anticipation is really such a strong feeling that people are happier in the anticipation rather than the remembrance of the event. And so we really get a greater sense of feeling when we're anticipating something. So just, create that list and always, and keep adding to that list because things change, something comes up, but have that list of hope. And then another thing, instead of setting a resolution, is maybe you want to engage in self-reflection. For many, as we mentioned earlier, setting resolutions is really a negative thing, and it really puts pressure on ourselves, and it can lead to anxiety and frustration, and there sometimes could even lead to self-sabotage of not being able to get that resolution taken care of. But self-reflection is defined as careful thoughts about our beliefs and our behaviors. And research has shown that turning inward can strengthen our emotional intelligence, and it makes it easier to cope with challenges. And that self-reflection can be really done at any time. You could, sit down with a cup of coffee, if coffee's your thing, or a cup of tea, and just journal for 10 to 15 minutes. Just whatever thought comes to mind, or you can do some self-reflection as you're doing some exercise, if walking or riding a bike or rowing. As you're doing those exercises, you can use that time to self-reflect. Or you can just find a quiet place and sit down and close your eyes. And the key is to silence really any outside distractions and focus on yourself. And the self-reflection can be based on some simple questions. What are things that matter the most to me? What are my greatest strengths and how can I build on them? What am I grateful for? What do I want people to remember me about? Or I apologize, how do I want people to remember me? What am I grateful for? And what habits can I improve on? So the self-reflection helps you be aware of your thoughts and feelings as you undertake this exercise. And really only once you're comfortable in having done this, then you can look forward to setting goals. But really think about what things matter most to you, and what are you grateful for? And those other questions that I had listed off that will help in a self-reflection process. So lessons learned. This is an opportunity to think back over the past year, because it's really easy to forget our own wisdom sometimes. And so spend and just an introspective evening looking back over the past year and acknowledge what you've learned and carry that into the new year. Was there anything that you've learned about yourself, or is there anything that you learned about life that you can carry it through into 2022? And when the next thing is, instead of an alternative, think about maybe having being goals. We have doing goals, but there's also being goals. And I do have a definition for that. Let me pull that up here. So although the focus of goal setting is often on things we want to acquire, there are 3 different areas to consider. Besides the obvious having goals, there are also being goals and doing goals. Of these, the most important and challenging are the being goals. And so focus on the person you want to be. The having and doing take care of itself. So the being goals, like I want to be more engaging. I want to be more fruitful. I want to be more productive. I want to be more energetic. I want to be more athletic. Whatever it is that being is. And then as the author had mentioned, the having and the doing goes kind of follow behind the being goes. The do more, do less is kind of a lesson on when we are bringing new activities in, we really sometimes fail to make room for it. So this is more of a detail on, I plan to blank, and so it'll be, I plan to blank more and blank less. So I plan to walk more and sit less. That would be my more and less goal. So I plan to read more books and do less Facebook time or TikTok videos time. I plan to take the stairs more and take the elevator less. So that's where that more and less comes into play.
Southeast of the city today because it's going to take a little while. We're pretty darn close to where our high is going to be for the day. Usually we hit our high at about 3-4 in the afternoon. Looks like we're going to be kind of settling into that right around now, kind of over the next couple of hours. You can already see some of that colder air will be in. Here's what it feels like up in the north.
Excuse me. So the next thing is, create a bucket list of things that you want to do in 2022. People usually think of bucket list as a negative thing, or it's like, I need to get this done before I run out of time. But really a bucket list can be a very energetic thing. And it can be very fun to make. It can make you really feel excited and anticipating, going back to that anticipation, my hope list, to look forward to. And these could be small things. It could be big things. My bucket list is to give my brand new baby and my family a hug. It could be to, whatever you want to include. So as you're looking at your bucket list, you can have personal goals, you can have professional goals, and definitely fun goals. Those are just the things that you want to do in 2022. And then develop a mantra. Rather than a resolution to maybe save more money, you create a mantra that says, I'll buy only what I need. And then commit to following that mantra without really any kind of strict rules or rigid guidelines, because then that really becomes more of a punishment than a positive thing. I actually have a mantra. I live in a small place. And so my mantra is, I need to get rid of one thing if I'm bringing one thing new in. So I have a limited space. And so if I want to buy something new, something that I have has to go away to make room. So that's my personal mantra that I've been doing for a year. And I've done really well on that. I haven't, just because I have no space. And for it to not look like an over-cluttered, what do they call the people who hoard? A hoarder's house. It's well-controlled organization of collecting things. So yeah, think of a mantra that you might want to have. Another option, instead of setting a resolution, is to decide on one word for the year. So pick a word that will carry you through or guide you through the year. And it, you might ask, why one word? And one word really gives you clarity and focus. And so some examples of one word could be flourish, or discipline, or simplify, or joy, or serenity, or fun, or excitement, or action. So those are some examples. My one word for the year is going to be action, because that's going to tie into my taking a walk every morning around my block of my my home. And so think about maybe one word that will carry you through 2022. This next slide, I put a bunch of them on here because they're all really kind of, in my mind, were time focused. And these, I should have said at the very premises that any of these suggestions as alternative to resolutions can be taken in any order. So this is just a list of different options. They're not in any specific order. But when you think about conducting weekly experiments, it's really exactly an experiment to test out various habits or challenges that you might want to do to new things. You might want to try a new ethnic cuisine that you've never had. Maybe you've always wanted to try Korean barbecue and you never have. So, one weekly experiment is, to try that particular cuisine. And, during the week, you can research that. You can look at either recipes to make at home or restaurants within this wonderful city that we live in. And then you could, have a meal. Or you could, think about, again, my weekly experiment is going for a brisk walk every morning each day. But that's more than a weekly experiment. That's going to be my plan. But, it's a way of bringing in something new without a huge commitment. And an experiment, so you're looking at something new and you're looking at learning about something. Monthly goals, having a goal each month instead of for the entire year, can break it down. It can be less of a commitment challenge that way. So you might want to think about, the January, decluttering your closets. Depending on how many closets you have in your house, it could be a closet a week. It could be, as you're going through, have your, 1 week of decluttering, 1 week of, taking things to the trash, 1 week of taking things to be recycled, 1 week of taking things to be resold, 1 week of taking things to be resold. Or donated, to a charity that supports thrift stores. So, think about that. February, it might be going through your recipes and getting rid of all the recipes that you have decided that you've had for 20 years but have never made, and probably in the next 20 years will still not make. So just think about these monthly goals that you might set for yourself. The 30-day challenge is kind of like a monthly goal, but again, it's a challenge because if it's giving you a chance to do new things, such like trying a vegan diet. If you've heard Chef Jason talk in our Cooking for Wellness about vegan diets before. So maybe you want to try the vegan diet for an entire month. Again, it's just 30 days and it's not a lifetime commitment. You might find you love it, or you might say, yep, nope, not for me. Or I can incorporate a little bit of this into my regular diet. You might think about a way, maybe reading a book for a week. Pick 4 different books that you want and sit down and say, my 30-day challenge is I'm going to read these 4 books, 1 book a week. So it can be really whatever you want to set in there. And it's a great way to introduce new things into your life in a very less stressful manner. The 90-day projects, this is where you would break the year up into quarters. And it's more of a temporary permanent commitment. So it's a quarterly commitment versus the monthly. And you really want to have a specific focus for each 90-day section. And so it really will have some high priorities, in those particular goals.
Everybody.
So and then the last one on here, the 365-day goal, the 5-day project. This is something that you really wanted to do every single day in the new year. Maybe it's to read a short story or recite a positive affirmation. You might want to think about writing in a journal every day. It doesn't have to be a huge dissertation. It can be a couple of sentences or a paragraph. You might want to take a photo and upload it every day to social media. Take a photo of nature or of cute animals. And it's just, something that you want to do every day for 365 days. So that's some alternative to resolutions. Other ideas are looking at things to discard. I've already mentioned decluttering a couple times, but it really is getting rid of some clutter in your life helps to bring clarity. And there's less stress when you have things that you only need or want in your home, and versus just having a bunch of stuff. A vision board is just a really a wonderful visual thing that is also called a treasure map. And it will include dreams and goals and plans. And you can cut out pictures and you can make it, very vibrant. And it gives you kind of a platform to look at every day that keeps your goals, such as, one of my long-term bucket lists, not my bucket list for 2022, but one of my long-term bucket lists is to go see, I want to visit Scotland. I want to see the Lochs of Scotland, not necessarily look for Loch Nessie the monster, but I do want to go see the hills and the highlands of Scotland, go through a couple castles and see the old buildings that we just don't have here in America. And so on my vision board, I would have a picture of a castle, and I'd have a picture of some of the rolling hills of Scotland, and some of a picture of a passport book. And so that's, just a way of keeping that dream in front of my face, which is why it's also called a treasure map. And I have a designated place to list down all of the books that you want to read. If you have a smartphone, or if you have a tablet, or even just a notebook that you have beside your chair in your living room, just write down all the books you run across the book, and just do a quick jolt of the title and the author. And then that way, when you're ready to read a book, you have that list and you can go to your local library and get a physical book, or so many times using the electronic version, you can download an electronic book and read a book without ever leaving your home. I've noticed also about doing this for movies. You see so many ads for movies. If you're on social media, they're showing little clips for movies. I'm like, that looks so funny. And then 2 days later, I completely forget what that movie was going to be. But if I have a list on my phone, then I can look at renting that movie, or streaming it, or whatever. But books are really a wonderful opportunity to engage our mind, and you always learn new things from books. So just have a place that is specific to write down any titles that you might be interested in. So an alternative to resolution is to maybe have an intentions board. And so as you're looking through these intentions, you'll see on the column there your best 2022 intentions. And so there, you could write these down on a tablet, or again, put them on a smart device, and practice gratitude by, and then list out ways that you're going to plan to practice gratitude. Do more things I love. List out some things, write a paragraph or a list of things that you're going to do that you love. Rearrange my time to. I'm going to rearrange my time to take that walk every morning around my block. Delete the bad. I need to declutter those recipes I mentioned. And then, start my morning with. So this is a list. This actually is a template that came from @Rainbow Plant Life. So she wrote out, she actually has a template that you can download and you can fill in. But this is an alternative to resolutions, as you can have an intentions plan. You can also have a happy list plan. What are the things that you're looking forward in 2022? This is going back to that hope list that we mentioned, that anticipation. What are some of the things that you're looking forward to? And it's just, I'm looking forward to, and then just jot those things right down. So this one's a pretty self-explanatory way of having that hope list that we mentioned earlier. Goal setting. When you're thinking that, what's your focus for 2022? And then because we're going to be smart, we're going to have that specific and measurable and obtainable, and those excuse me, those things that make a SMART goal. And so you're going to write down your focus for 2022 and goal 1. And what are those action steps that's going to help you to meet that goal? So my focus in 2022 is to walk every morning around my block. Goal 1 is I'm going to make sure that I have a good pair of walking shoes, and I'll make sure that I, have a pair that fit, and I'll make sure I have good cushioned socks. And in this cold weather, I'm going to want to wear a hat and scarf, so make sure I have my winter gear ready for me at the front door, so I can bundle up and head out. And so when you're just thinking about those goal setting, this template here can help with that. And again, this is from @Rainbow Plant Life. So as you're thinking about instead of doing resolutions, there's 10 different ways that you can make a change. We've already mentioned about being intentional and plan smarter by having those SMART goals, and discover new things. Those are that hope, that things that we're looking forward to, that anticipation. The make a change, whatever that you could possibly need to do that. Staying positive. I've already mentioned the books. Don't procrastinate. Go outside is really huge. A lot of different people have talked about the nature things. Enjoy the simple things and believe in yourself. So going back to being intentional, it's really easy to get overwhelmed with all of the new plans and ideas that you have for the new year. And so one way is to, be intentional in your planning. Ask yourself why and how. And then write those steps down. Research has shown that a written goal is more obtained than just a verbal goal. And so then breaking your plan down into smaller steps, as that previous slide showed on our action steps, it's you'll have those action steps that will actually make it more attainable. When we mentioned plan smarter, we talked about the SMART goals, and make sure that you leave room for flexibility. And be prepared, things change. Your plan might change. Something may come up that I am physically not able to walk around the block every day. And so just be aware that, that flexibility is really important. And the backup plan that I might have if I couldn't physically do that. When you're looking at discovering something new, that really the possibilities are endless in what you're interested in. But the important part is to broaden your horizon and become more well-rounded. If you are interested in learning a new ethnic cuisine, or you're interested in trying a new vegan diet, or vegetarian, just opening yourself up to new possibilities, and paying attention to those new things as they bring different flavors and different enjoyment into your life. And when you're looking at making a change, is there something in your community that you would like to see change? And if there is, then you have every opportunity to do something about that. You can really be surprised about how much one person can make a difference. So stand up what you believe in and take a step forward towards change. Staying positive is so important because of, in a negative world that we live in, this pandemic that's still going on, trying to stay focused on the positive is really important. And so you might run across an encouraging quote. You might find having a digital lunch with a friend because of the pandemic that's going on. Maybe you make a Zoom date with a friend versus, planning to meet them at your regular lunch spot. You might want to think about the music. If there's a positive, uplifting music you like to listen to, that will keep you upbeat and positive in your mind. So there's really ways of bringing happiness and light into your day. It really is contagious. When you're happy and positive, it affects other people, and you want to pass that on. We already mentioned the books and the reading and how we grow and learn from the books that we read. It really opens us up to new perspectives. It gives our mind off of the stress, and it really improves our focus and concentration. And the amount of time that we spend on digital, hence today's telesession, it's really fun to put your nose in an actual book sometimes and exercise your mind. But don't procrastinate. So challenges can be a little, I don't want to say intimidating, but they can be a little stressful. And so think about being very specific and being very strategic in your plans. So when you are feeling the procrastination bug hit you, then you can go back to those positive things and really focus more on the plans that you have. You can look at the action steps that you have to get you out of that kind of slump of, I really don't want to do this. So think about ways of going outside safely in this environment. If it's just to sit on your back porch or your front porch with a cup of coffee or tea every morning, even if it's for 5 minutes. Of course, we're in winter in Ohio, so being outside might not be the safest thing with the wind chill factor. But just think about how wonderful it is to just be outside, because research shows that spending time outdoors will do wonders for your health. So if it's just taking a midday walk, if it's taking that coffee or tea break on the porch or patio, just spending time outside in nature does really wonders for us. And then enjoying the simple things. The world can get pretty overstimulated. And so sometimes it's nice to just take a step back and enjoy the simple things. Turn off all your electronics, grab that coffee or that tea and sit on your patio. And you might not want to be unplugged from the world for, hours on end, especially if you have family that want to check in on you or you check in on them. But even if it's only for 15 minutes, just say, I'm not going to answer my phone. I'm not going to look at any device for 15 to 30 minutes. And I'm just going to commune with nature, and I'm just going to drink my tea or coffee, and I'm just going to be. And then you can, go back and look at everything that you missed on your phone. And then the last thing here is, believe in yourself. Putting these tips into effect will certainly help you have a better year, but the most important thing is really to be comfortable within yourself. When you're confident, anything is possible. So trust in yourself and your abilities is really the best formula for success and happiness. So this next slide I found when I was doing research for today's session, and I really liked it. So because of it, it has the gentleman's name and where it came from. I thought I could go ahead and include this. But, when you're looking at the new year, it really is full of opportunities hidden in each new day. Each new day is just really a new, it's like a new present that you open every day. There's just so many opportunities that are available within those 24 hours that we have. And then I also found this next slide. I really like the quote on here. It really is a new year. So you have renewed hope, new opportunities, new adventures, new ways to give into love. And so I really hope that this is your best year ever. So as you know, we're looking at all the ways to have a new year without resolutions and without putting that self-imposed stress. You know, start this off with zero pressure to do anything other than to remain open to the possibilities. So I hope that everybody has a happier new year in anything that you do. So those are some ways to have a new year without resolutions and setting yourself up for failure. Does anybody have any questions?
That was really, really good.
Yeah, that was fairly comprehensive.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate that.
A lot to reflect on, I'll tell you. Yeah. Mhm.
Is there any way to get a copy of that?
Yes, absolutely. I'll be happy to email all three of you a copy of the PowerPoint.
Well, that'd be great. Oh, yeah, because there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Yes, Irene, we'll definitely make sure that that you get a copy too. Well, and I do appreciate that feedback. I was when like I said, I was thinking of this topic and thinking of the different things to put on here. It's like, well, what do you do if you don't set a resolution, and found a wealth of information. So I'll be happy to share that.
Yeah, resolutions are something that I kept trying for years and years and years um, years ago, I used to smoke, and I have New Year's Day would always be the big day. And by the time the football game came on TV, of course, it was over. So it never worked. And so I had to find ways to not make that happen. And so, believe it or not, I quit on New Year's Eve and then told myself the next day, oh, well, I quit last year. It sounds silly, but it was a way to divert my attention from
Mhm.
putting all this pressure on myself, and
Mhm.
actually works. Kind of silly, but it did work.
Mhm. Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
it's not really silly, but it was as you mentioned, as you said, it was a way of diverting the pressure. And it's like, I succeeded. I quit last year. I didn't say anything about this year. So, you know, there's ways that we do though. Those are the games we play with ourselves to work that around, but still niggling in the back of your mind was probably that, I failed again, or this wasn't right. And so that's why, you know, you know, life is hard already. We don't need to have those self-imposed stresses put on ourselves.
Mhm. Yeah, I was reading an article this morning and it was talking about resolutions. And I said a lot of people will make resolutions that are just silly and fun. One of them was like, I'll exercise every day starting tomorrow, but quit the next day. It's like, you know, there were several of those like that. I said, well, that's kind of how it is. That when you end up by the middle of the month, you're so tired of doing it that you can't achieve it.
Yeah, exactly. And then again, we have that feeling of failure. It's like, I didn't get it done, and I set this, and you know, I messed up, or I screwed up, and then, you know, all that negative stuff. And it's like, we don't need that. We need to have the positive things. You know, that's why I loved with the research. It was, you know, the challenge. You know, a challenge. The word itself, challenge, is exciting, and it's something new, and you know, and it's temporary. You know, a 30-day, a 3-week, or 90-day, you know, 3-month, you know, it's just a small time frame. You're not doing a lifelong commitment to this. And it's like, I can do anything for a week. It's like, if I want to eat vegan, I can do it for a week, and then assess. Well, I can already tell you, it's not going to be part of my natural lifestyle. I already know. But you just do those short things, but it's a challenge. And so it's exciting and it's something new. And then if I decide at the end, I'm not beating myself up about it, because if I choose not to incorporate this in my life, I can say, yeah, that's not for me.
Mhm.
And I thought it was really interesting that 3 different resources that I found mentioned books. And that's why I put that on the list, because I'm a reader and I'm like, well, this is perfect. So I thought that was interesting, because I think so much is book reading is unfortunately being replaced with all the social media and the digital gadgets that we have.
Now, I'm a person that likes to have a book. A piece of paper or something,
Yeah. I was so happy when the Columbus Public Library, after the first shutdown from the pandemic, said you can still get books. You pull in, you call the number, we'll bring it out to you, and put it in the trunk or the back seat of the car. And so it was that contactless pickup. So I have plenty of books in my personal library, but reading new books. And so I was so excited when the Columbus Public Library went back to that, because I do have a device that I can download their ebooks, but I'm like you, Ray. It's like I like that tangible holding on to something.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have resolution, but I have a list. So I don't really equate it to resolution. But in my list, I try to look at it every day, and it says, oh, okay, well, it's time to do this. And then my second list, I said, okay, well, I'll do 2 hours of that. And then maybe tomorrow, if I have 2 hours, I'll do it again. I'm downsizing. So I have like a 4,800 square feet house. And, I have to really do it slowly, because, it's hard. Otherwise, it will never happen. But I look at it every day, and as I said, one is downsizing. So I won't even put, I would say 2 hours, but I won't even put the area where to do it. I'll just do randomly. So if I'm in the laundry room, then I try to do the laundry room. When I'm there, I'll do the laundry room, pitch out all those things. And if I'm in the garage, it's cold right now. So now I have a reason not to go in the garage. But the thing that I want to do almost 2-3 times a week is my exercise. I feel awful if I don't do it. And this morning I almost forgot. My exercise time is at 11:15, and by the time I saw my schedule, it's like 11:30. I said, oops. I said, well, half an hour is half an hour. I'm gonna go anyways. I do boxing, and boxing is so relaxing, and you might think it's a lot of cardio though. It's a lot of cardio. So even if I was there late half an hour, I just do my own, and they don't bother me. If I join them in the bag, I'll join them in the bag. If not, I'll do my own thing. And they don't care as long as I move. So I don't believe in resolution, because I never do it. But I believe in a list.
Yeah, that's perfect, Irene. That's one of the things we talked about earlier, is instead of having a resolution, of having that list, things to look forward to, things to do. So yeah, that's perfect. Well, I do appreciate you guys joining me for our first official lunchtime learning. I'm so glad that you're able to start your 2022 with me. Please look forward to the PowerPoint that I'm going to send out. And then I'm also going to be sending you a link to a Survey Monkey, because we do, our funders, we do need to show that we have feedback from our workshop. So if you'll complete that Survey Monkey for our funders, that would be greatly appreciated as well. So thank you again for joining me. It was wonderful to see everybody. I appreciate the feedback, and I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your Wednesday.
Thanks, Darlene.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.